6 years of making Nefarious, and I cannot believe that I am still making Nefarious. I really believe that is an achievement in itself, that this comic is still going and that people are still interested in it. But I did not want to spend this little anniversary chat just patting myself on the back. I actually wanted to give you my advice on how you can be successful with your own, creative endeavor, whether that's a novel, a comic book, music project, or, video game, whatever the case may be. When I launched Nefarious back in Kickstarter on 2014, there wasn't anything particularly noteworthy about what I did. I do credit a lot of my success to Matthew Toronto and a successful Reddit post. I got a plug from VG Cats, and those events were significant. But the real key was I focused really hard on having a really good, like a log line. I had a good presentation and I had a decent mock-up, which looking back, weren't that great really, but taken together, it presented the potential at the time. And as a creator that wants to live off their work, my advice to you is really just put your idea out there and see what resonates with people. Don't become attached to any one particular project, as it can be challenging to get people to care, given, their busy lives, limited time for consuming media. And while that reality can seem harsh, you shouldn't let it discourage you, because you can use that knowledge as a tool. Improve your work by constantly questioning what elements of your story will make people care, and, cutting anything that doesn't contribute to that goal. There's no marketing trick or like clever hashtag that will make your project a hit if the work itself doesn't meet that standard of making people care. So instead, focus on creating a project that is so good that it could succeed only through word of mouth if it had to. And once you have a project that is that strong, then you can use, various promotional strategies to get the word out. And while you're doing that, keep working on your craft, and over time you will improve and you will find new projects that will maybe outperform, your original magnum opus, so to speak. And statistically, eventually, one of them will be a hit. If you keep failing, you will fail your way to success, which I think is more or less what I did, because I failed plenty of times before releasing Nefarious. I've got tons of abandoned webcomics and tons of abandoned games, and even completely finished games that you can, I think, still find on the iPhone or the iPad that came out and failed spectacularly. And when it comes to crowdfunding, first comes the crowd, then the funding. Don't put yourself in debt for your projects. Instead, use platforms like Kickstarter to test out new ideas, and then use Patreon to basically continue to support ideas that have gained some traction. And don't view a failed Kickstarter campaign as a personal failure. Just take it as, free market research, as for passing that, that high standard of what do I do to make people care. And I think the best way to make someone care is by having a captivating hook. If your project can't be summarized in a few sentences in a way that piques a new reader's interest, you're limiting your potential audience. Avoid overly complex or convoluted log lines. I've met people who they'll pitch me their idea, and it's like, in the land of Zumbagada, there was a young smelfling who needed to collect the 4 goobas to fight the. No, just keep your logline simple and intriguing, such as Space Wizard rides space unicorn, rescues princess from planet-destroying machine, or villain protagonist specializes in helping bad guys win for a change. For further information, I recommend checking out the Comic Lad podcast by Brad Geiger and Dave Kellett, as that's pretty much where I've learned all the things I know about, running a creative business. Though they focus primarily on comics, I believe all of their suggestions can usually be used for pretty much the entire range of creative projects. And you can find them on Patreon at patreon.com/comiclab. And if you're interested in reading Nefarious Volume 3, Dark Hearts, you can find it on Patreon at patreon.com/jhano. That is JHANO. I'd also like to thank Jonathan Dobbs for coloring the Volume 3 cover. I mean, just look at the gorgeous job he did here. I mean, oh, look at these colors. Those details are so good. Oh, and look over here. Yep, Crow looks amazing. Becky looks amazing. Buzzard, Virtue, this little weird steampunk heart. Oh, it's incredible. Love it. And down below, you'll find a link to his Twitter, as well as patreon.com/jhano. And that'll do it for this Talk and Draw session. Please comment below with any questions or suggestions for my next Talk and Draw, or your own tips for other creators. And as always, give that subscription button a little tickle. Ding the bell, if that's still a thing. I believe dinging the bell is still a thing. So click the bell and you'll get notified on my future updates. And as always, thank you, love you, and good night.